Okay, let's unpack this. What happens when a marquee franchise, one that's constantly staring down pressure, is suddenly presented with this unexpected lifeline?
Yeah, a lifeline that could be a clean, almost surgical trade opportunity.
Exactly, an opportunity that could fundamentally redefine their identity. It could stabilize their whole season or, send everything crashing into total chaos.
And that's the high-stakes reality for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. This isn't just about a roster adjustment.
No.
This is a philosophical choice disguised as a trade rumor. It forces the front office to stare right in the mirror and ask, what kind of team are we actually trying to be?
That's it. The sources we've been digging into focus squarely on one of the most intense pieces of speculation in the NHL today, that potential one-for-one swap involving Max Domi and Andrew Mangiapane. So our mission today is to do a deep dive into all of it, the contracts, the stats, the on-ice tactical fit, and of course, the immense emotional stakes. This is a true crossroads for the Maple Leafs.
And we absolutely have to acknowledge that emotional weight right up front. Mangiapane is a Toronto-born winger.
That always adds a layer.
It always adds another layer of scrutiny, another layer of a desire. So this rumor forces Toronto to weigh what they're sacrificing in, let's say, proven, if volatile, offense.
Right.
Versus what they hope to gain in reliability and, maybe more importantly, long-term financial flexibility. We got to look at what both the Leafs and the Oilers are giving up here.
Okay, so let's start with Mangiapane himself. He's suddenly the most, accessible, high-profile guy on the market. Tell us a bit about the player he was and the situation he finds himself in right now.
Well, Andrew Mangiapane built his whole reputation on just being relentless. He's a Toronto kid, known for that nonstop motor and, an ability to score in the dirty areas.
Yeah.
He's not a player built on flash.
Yeah.
He's built on a consistent work ethic and, crucially, what was consistent production.
And we're not just talking about potential. This is a guy who was a 35-goal threat just 2 seasons ago in Calgary. Analysts used to describe him as darting around the offensive zone like electricity.
Because he was always moving, always pressuring defenders. He was devastating in transition. And that's the player the Oilers hoped they were getting.
But they didn't. Which brings us to the hook, the reason this is even a conversation.
The absolute reason. He has officially been granted permission to seek a trade out of Edmonton. He's frustrated, he's looking for a reset, and he is suddenly available at a heavily discounted price point because his value is at rock bottom.
What's the context there? Why did it go so wrong in Edmonton? The numbers are just jarringly bad for a player of his caliber.
What's fascinating here is the sheer drop-off. The Oilers took a chance. They hoped a change of scenery would resurrect that high-motor winger.
And
instead, he only managed 5 goals, 11 total points in 39 games. He's been a healthy scratch. The partnership just didn't work because, frankly, the Oilers were already struggling with their own identity and systemic issues.
So Mangiapane just became another problem to solve.
It became another complication instead of a stabilizing force. He represents this desperate, high-risk, high-reward chance for redemption. His poor production is why he's available, but his core attributes are why a team like Toronto would even consider it.
Okay, so it's clear why he's available, but why Max Domi specifically? That pairing seems almost too perfect. I suspect the contracts are the real story here.
You're right. Let's get into the mechanics, because the sources describe this one-for-one swap as almost too clean, too convenient.
Too symbolic to ignore, even.
Exactly. And that convenience, it stems from the contracts. They are remarkably similar in immediate cap hit, which, simplifies the league accounting side, but they diverge massively on term.
And that's the key.
That single difference is the strategic core of this whole thing for the Leafs front office.
Okay, so we have to lay out these details because this is what really matters for Toronto's cap situation. Mangiapane is at a $3.66 million cap hit, and crucially, his contract runs only until next season.
Right, an expiring deal after next year. Domi, on the other hand, is at a very similar $3.75 million, but he is signed for 2 more years after this current season.
2 more years. That extra year of term is the anchor that Toronto might be trying to cut loose here.
That's the ball and chain.
Here's where it gets really interesting, then. The difference in term is a major factor, maybe even more than the small difference in cap hit. Moving Domi's deal opens up huge pathways for the front office.
That $3.75 million in cap space in the 2025-26 season, that could be the difference between signing a depth center you need or retaining a key defenseman.
It gives them flexibility they just don't have right now.
Desperately, shaving off that commitment is a move that prioritizes structural flexibility over a player who, has shown some volatility.
So the mechanics work. The strategy is sound. But now we have to dive into the philosophical clash, because this trade forces Toronto to choose. It really does.
It demands that they pick a lane. Do they double down on offensive flash and, unpredictability? Or do they prioritize systemic defensive reliability?
Let's break that down. Start with Mangiapane. Even in a down year, what does he bring that Toronto needs?
He brings genuine defensive structure from a forward, something they've lacked in key support roles.
Okay, but define defensive structure for us. It's not just hustle, is it?
No, it's positional intelligence. He forechecks with structure, he angles opponents into bad spots, he backchecks with purpose, he's the third forward high, relieving pressure on his D.
He reads the play without the puck.
With a level of attentiveness that coaches crave, this isn't just effort, it's smarts that save your defenseman from having to make high-risk plays over and over. Mangiapane promises reliability.
So the gamble for the Leafs is, can putting him in their top 6 next to guys with strong possession numbers, can that give him the environment he needs to find that 55-point version of himself again?
That's the hope. Now, contrast that with Domi.
Right.
I get the benefits of moving the contract, but Domi is still third on the team in primary assists. His value is undeniable. Electrifying skill, creativity.
Flashes of chemistry that make you think he's just one hot streak away from finding another gear.
He brings a swagger and unpredictability that this roster sometimes lacks.
And that's a crucial point. Are we sure we aren't trading proven, though volatile, offense for a defensive promise that might never turn into scoring? Especially for a team that desperately needs goals in the playoffs.
That's the tension right there. Domi's ability to gain the zone, to thread passes, that's elite stuff. But the catch, and this is a recurring theme, is his defensive zone struggles.
And turnovers, the misreads.
The lost assignments, they've repeatedly compromised Toronto's back end, and the cost of those breakdowns just gets heavier as the season goes on.
So if we connect the needs, Toronto needs stability. A forward who won't burn them when the puck flips the other way.
And Edmonton needs the opposite. They need playmaking and speed. They might be willing to swallow the defensive volatility for the offensive explosion Domi could bring next to McDavid or Draisaitl.
They trade structure for firepower. And Toronto is debating trading firepower for structure.
Precisely.
Let's talk about the motivation layer for Mangiapane. This is a guy who's playing for his next contract. He's playing to prove he's still a high-impact player. That can be explosive.
And we absolutely cannot ignore the sentimentality factor. The sources mention it. Wearing the jersey of his hometown team, walking into the arena he grew up dreaming about.
You think that matters?
It often matters more than cold analytics can quantify. For a player whose struggles seem tied to confidence, sometimes that emotional stimulant, that feeling of being genuinely wanted, is exactly what you need for a reset.
But let's be realistic about the risk for Toronto here. They would be banking on upside over current production. Banking on a huge resurgence from a player whose numbers right now, they just scream slump.
It's a massive high-stakes moment. The long-term ramifications cut deep. If Mangiapane is a success, Toronto gets a versatile, defensively trustworthy winger for the playoff push, plus that